Welcome back, YouTube. This is Not Too Casual, and I am your host, Jamin Saziru. Now, today we're going to be talking about sports fashion, not with the fans, and not even with the players, but with the coaches. Now, fashion has come a long, long way throughout human history, and especially in the past few decades, with different fits, different styles, and even fabrics. Now, the players and the fans have definitely progressed in their fashion style, but why have the coaches completely declined and become way too casual? Now, before we get into it, make sure you like, share, and leave your 2 cents in the comment section, and hopefully I can earn your subscription with this video. Without further ado, let's get into it. All right, let's go back a few decades. I want to focus on the 70s and the 80s because that's right before when coach fashion became way too casual. Now, back then, and I wish we could adopt some of these thought processes that they had back then, because they had the notion of when we go outside, we need to look our best at all times. Things have become way too laxed, way too lackadaisical, and way too casual these days. Even back then, outside of sports, if you had a job, you most likely had a uniform, and if not, you still made sure whatever you were wearing to work, you looked your best. Now, these coaches, whether that be practice or it would be game day on a sideline, these guys made sure they looked their best. Suits, ties, sweater vests, wool coats, fur, fedoras. This was the uniform for coaches. Now, you got to think, all the players are in their own athletic uniforms, whatever the case may be. Basketball, football, soccer, they had their own uniforms. But there were not uniforms for coaches. There weren't all these brands that we have today to make this athleisure wear. So when you saw the coach, you scanned the sideline for the coach, you would know who he was. He was there with the suit. Now, let me tell you what wearing a suit does, if you don't know. That means you are about your business. We all know, even today, if somebody's wearing a suit, because it doesn't happen as much as it used to, that means you are about business. You're taking whatever you're doing very seriously. Now, when you look good like that, you are dressed to impress. That means you have a lot of respect for the position you hold. You have a lot of respect for the name that you bear from the name that your parents gave you. And also, in the sports realm, you're putting a lot of respect on the name of the team and also the league. That means a lot. You can even put a whole personality on the team that you're representing just from the way you look.
The really first real shot in the film is Tom Landry in silhouette with his hat. And you know it's Tom Landry. It knocks you out from the minute you see it. It is so special.
When you see that image, I don't think you can overstate the success and the impact of Bob Ryan constructing this iconography and this idea of them being America's team.
The Cowboys could not have become America's team without Landry's image.
So there you have it. Now, clearly, I'm a Cowboys fan, of course. You can see by the hat and my custom jersey back here, but I had to use Tom Landry as a prime example of how image can take you so far. Now, from the video, I know you saw he is one of the main contributors to why the Dallas Cowboys have the nickname of America's team. He was tough, he was gritty, he was tenacious, and he carried himself very well. And amongst all things, because there was a lot of other things that were going on to why the Cowboys got that name, but the coach and his image added to it as well. Now, moving on, I got a little hypothesis because I also think that there just weren't many other options for coaches to wear other things. So they kept it formal, which was, something of the times to dress to impress at all times. You always wore your Sunday's best. You always made sure you looked great, you looked good, and you represented yourself well. With that being said, let's move over into the 1990s when there was a boom in different looks, different brands, because now you have the Nikes coming out, you had Reebok, you had Champion, Adidas was coming on the scene, even though they weren't quite yet as big as they are now, as at least as professional team licensing. But there was one major brand that really changed the game when it comes to sports fashion. And that brand is no other than Starter.
Look for the stars, and you'll find...
All right, let me fill you in if you're too young to know. Starter was huge. Now, clearly, they revolutionized sideline sportswear with players and with coaches. But off the field as well, with fans, Starter was insane. Now, growing up, if you didn't have a Starter jacket, you just weren't cool, period. If your family didn't have sufficient funds to get a jacket, they better get you a hat at least. I mean, we wore these jackets in the summertime. They were that cool. They were that dope. They were that popular. Now, of course, if they're that popular with the fans, just imagine how popular your favorite players and coaches made them as well for us. Now, we saw coaches that transitioned from the 70s, the 80s, that were wearing suits and fedoras. They eventually converted, if they lasted long enough to make it to the 90s, they converted and also became very casual and wearing these types of jackets. Now, Starter wasn't the only brand, but they blew up big, especially when they got contracts with MLB and with the NFL. Completely changed the game. Now, clearly, you guys know that I'm not a huge fan of it because I believe that it really changed the mode of dress and made it way, way casual, dressed things down a lot. Because at one point in time, you could not go to a game, you could not watch a game on TV and not see every single coach wearing a nylon Starter jacket. All up and down the sideline. It's just what things came and how things transformed. And now, why this is a problem is because it took away the formality of the game. Now, of course, the players, they're always going to wear their uniforms. You know, they got the spandex pants, they got the jersey knit tops and, things of that nature. But the coaches, in my personal opinion, I think they don't need to blend in with the players on the sideline to the point the only thing you're looking for is gray hair to differentiate the coaches. I'm going to always be a big fan of the leaders of the team dressing as such because it means a lot and it could take you even farther and change your image in a positive way. Now, to wrap this video up, coaches, what are you doing? You've become way too casual. We can't tell whether or not the coaches are players or not. They're hiring them really young, which isn't a problem because if you can do the job, you can do the job. But with the young age brings a younger culture into the game. We got the player coaches, which is something I don't agree with either. And they're dressing like the players as well. We can't distinguish the players from the fans. And of course, like I said, I am here to elevate everyone. And like we saw earlier with Tom Landry, you can change your whole organization's image just from the way you look on the field and off the field. Keep that image high, keep that image going. Now, there's a couple of names I want to throw out here at the end because you want to create an image that lives on after you're done what you're doing. Of course, we talked about Tom Landry, but I also want to talk about Mike Ditka with his sweater vest, what he was known for, and Bum Phillips. These two coaches, they will forever live on. Mike Ditka even has Halloween costumes designed after him. And Mike Vrabel, who now coaches the Tennessee Titans, who were formerly the Houston Oilers, who Bum Phillips coached for, he wore the look that Coach Phillips wore once he passed. And that's a true honor. What coaches today, once they inevitably pass, will have the image to carry on after they're gone? Now that's all for today's video. If you like what you've heard and what you've seen, make sure you give me a like, you share, you give your 2 cents down in the comment section, and hopefully I can earn your subscription with this video. Until next time, guys, my name is Jamin Ceziru, and this is Not Too Casual.